Brooke Anderson stared at the chaos before her, with an expression oscillating between professional horror and contained fury. Fabric samples scattered across the floor, paint splattered on the wrong wall, and in the center of the disaster, him. "You painted the wrong wall." Her voice came out dangerously calm. Nash Rivers turned around, paintbrush in hand, a splash of navy blue decorating his left cheek. That irritatingly carefree smile appeared instantly. "Relax, Anderson. Looks better this way. That beige you picked was depressing. That beige is called greige, and it took 3 weeks of research to—" She took a deep breath, counting to 5. "Do you know what an approved project is, Nash? It's a document that both parties agree to follow. Documents are suggestions." He tossed the brush into the bucket with a satisfying splash. "Besides, I'm the co-owner. I have the right to change my mind. You have the right to pay the delay penalty when we have to redo everything. 2 months. That's how long Brooke had been dealing with this project. 2 months of pure torment. The renovation of the Copper and Sage was supposed to be her big showcase, a sophisticated restaurant in the heart of the Pearl District, the kind of work that would put her name on Portland's design map. But Nash Rivers seemed to have made a personal pact to sabotage every single decision. He stepped closer, and Brooke detected that irritatingly pleasant scent of rosemary and something smoky that always surrounded him. Chef. Of course, even his smell had to be interesting. "You know what your problem is, Anderson?" He tilted his head, studying her with those dark green eyes. "You're afraid to take risks. Calculated risks are different from idiotic impulses. And your life must be so fun, all planned out, and my life is professional, a concept clearly alien to you." Brooke's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and felt her stomach drop. Victoria Lang, the editor of Portland Home and Design. Shoot. "Hi, Victoria. Yes, everything's—" "What?" Brooke felt her blood freeze. "You're here? Now?" Nash frowned, but she raised a finger, commanding him to shut up. "I know the feature is scheduled for next week, but—" Yes, of course. See you in a moment." She hung up, staring at Nash with genuine panic for the first time since meeting him. The editor of Portland's biggest design magazine is coming up right now. She decided to move up the visit to capture the creative process. Brooke gestured to the disaster around them. "And she's going to find this. It's just one wall. It's the main entrance wall, the first thing she'll see." Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Female voices approaching. Brooke went into crisis mode. She grabbed a tarp, trying to cover the wall. Impossible. She pulled Nash by the arm. Mistake, solid muscles under the paint-stained shirt, pushing him behind a column. "Stay quiet. Let me do the talking. You're covering a wall with a 3-foot tarp? Do you have a better idea?" The door opened. Victoria Lang entered with her assistant, camera in hand. Professional smile perfectly positioned. Impeccable hair in a sleek bob. Charcoal blazer that probably cost more than Brooke's rent. "Brooke, what a wonderful surprise to—" Victoria stopped, eyes fixed on the navy blue wall. "Oh, that's new. Last-minute change." Brooke forced enthusiasm into her voice. "We were just testing options." "With the entire wall?" The assistant was already taking photos. Nash emerged from behind the column. Of course he couldn't stay quiet. "It's my fault." That charming smile that probably worked on everyone. "I had a creative vision, and Brooke, being the incredible professional she is helping me." "Nash Rivers?" Victoria lit up like a Christmas tree. "I adore your winter menu. That butternut squash risotto with toasted hazelnuts is transcendent." Transcendent. Brooke held back the urge to roll her eyes. "You're very kind." Nash placed his hand on Brooke's waist, pulling her close. She froze. "But the real genius here is my fiancée. Her vision for this space is—" "Excuse me, what?" Brooke tried to pull away, but his fingers firmed on her hip. "Fiancée?" Victoria practically jumped. "You're engaged. This is perfect. A creative couple renovating a restaurant together? My editor-in-chief will love this angle." "No, wait," Brooke started, but Nash pulled her even closer. "It's recent." He smiled at Brooke, and there was an amused and challenging gleam in those eyes. "We're still getting used to the idea." "I bet we are." Brooke dug her elbow into his ribs, subtly, painfully. Nash didn't even blink. "Actually, that's why I decided to change the wall. I wanted something that represented our passion." He looked at Brooke. "Right, sweetheart?" "Sweetheart." She was going to kill him, slowly and creatively. But Victoria was already talking about photo shoots, exclusive interviews, maybe even a cover. The assistant was taking photos of them both. Brooke realized with horror that Nash still held her by the waist, and she hadn't pulled away. "We need a couple photo," Victoria gestured. "Something intimate. You love each other, let it show." Brooke opened her mouth to confess everything, to say this was a ridiculous misunderstanding, that she and Nash barely tolerated each other, that the idea of marrying this walking disaster of a man was as absurd as... Nash turned her toward him. Those green eyes met hers, a silent question, a challenge. Trust me. She definitely didn't trust him, but then she thought about Victoria, the magazine, the exposure this feature would bring. She thought about her career, how she'd fought for every client, every project, how this restaurant could change everything for her. She thought too fast. "Actually," Nash murmured, low enough for only her to hear, "if you play along now, I promise to follow every single one of your design decisions. No questions, no wrong wall painting. Every decision, no questions." Brooke hated how tempting that was. "You two are so in love you can't stop looking at each other." Victoria sighed. A kiss photo would be perfect, and that's when Nash made the decision for both of them. He pulled her in, one hand firm on her back, the other caressing her face, and kissed her, right there, in front of Victoria Lang and her assistant with the camera. Brooke should have pushed him away, should have protested, but his lips were surprisingly soft, and he tasted like coffee and something slightly sweet, cinnamon, and his hands held her like she was something precious instead of an irritated architect he tormented daily. And she, in a moment of absolute insanity, kissed him back. Cameras clicked. Victoria made a delighted sound. When they finally separated, Nash was smiling. That idiotic, satisfied smile that made Brooke want to simultaneously kiss him again and throw him out the window. "Perfect," Victoria applauded. "You're perfect. I'll schedule the full interview for next week. I want to know everything about the relationship, wedding plans, how you balance personal and professional life." Brooke kept smiling, waved, agreed with everything. And when Victoria and her assistant finally left, she turned to Nash with deadly calm. "You," she said, each word carefully enunciated, "just put us in huge trouble." "Me? You kissed me back. You kissed me first, and you didn't seem to hate it." Nash crossed his arms, still with that paint stain on his cheek. "Actually, I'd say you even enjoyed it." Brooke shoved him. "You egomaniac. Do you realize we now have to pretend to be engaged? In front of a magazine with interviews and photos and for as long as the renovation lasts." Nash shrugged. "Then we break up quietly. Nobody will care." "Nobody will care?" She laughed without humor. "You clearly don't understand how small professional communities work, and you clearly don't see the opportunity we have here." He stepped closer, serious for the first time. "Think about it, Anderson. A cover story about a talented couple renovating a restaurant together? It'll be good for both of us. For you, for me, for the restaurant." She hated that he was right. Hated even more that part of her, a tiny, traitorous part, could still feel the ghost of that kiss. "You promised," she said slowly, "to follow my design decisions, no questions." "Every one. In writing." Nash blinked. "You want me to sign a design decision obedience contract?" "I want you to sign a fake engagement contract." Brooke grabbed her tablet, fingers already flying across the screen. "With rules, boundaries, consequences for violations." "You're serious?" "Completely." She stared at him. "If we're doing this ridiculous farce that you started, we're doing it right. Professionally." Nash studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. Not that charming, irritating smile, but something smaller, genuine. "You know what, Anderson? You're impressive when you're in command mode. Spare me. Are you in or out?" He extended his hand. "In, but only if you admit one thing." "What?" "That kiss was good." Brooke shook his hand, firm, brief, professional. "It was tolerable." "Liar." And as Nash laughed and returned to his navy blue wall, Brooke looked at her own hand, still tingling where he'd touched it. Tolerable. Shoot. The next morning, Brooke arrived at the Copper and Sage with 3 printed copies of what she'd titled Temporary Engagement Agreement, and a determination to treat this disaster like any other business transaction. Professional, controlled, survivable. She found Nash in the kitchen, already working despite it being barely 7 a.m. He stood at the industrial stove, testing what smelled like a balsamic reduction, his hair still damp from a shower. He'd changed into clean clothes, dark jeans and a fitted black Henley that unfortunately highlighted exactly how much time he spent doing whatever chefs did to get arms like that. "Focus, Anderson. We need to talk." She set her leather portfolio on the stainless steel counter with a decisive thud. Nash glanced up, that insufferable smile already forming. "Good morning to you too, fiancé." "Don't." She held up a warning finger. "We're not doing pet names until absolutely necessary." But sweetheart rolled off the tongue so naturally yesterday. "That's because you're a pathological charmer who probably calls everyone sweetheart. Just the women I'm fake engaged to." He turned off the burner, giving her his full attention. "You actually wrote a contract. Did you think I was joking?" "With you, Anderson. I've learned to never assume anything." He wiped his hands on a towel, moving closer. "Let's see it." Brooke pulled out the documents, sliding one across the counter. She'd spent until 2 a.m. drafting it, revising it, making sure every loophole was closed. Nash picked it up, eyebrows rising as he read. Section 1. Public Engagement Parameters. Subsection A. Appropriate physical contact. He looked at her. "You outlined appropriate touching? We need boundaries. Hand-holding is acceptable, waist contact for photos only. Kissing limited to..." He paused, something flickering in those green eyes. "You wrote, kissing limited to necessary public appearances, duration not to exceed 5 seconds. It's reasonable. It's insane." But he was grinning now. "What if I need 6 seconds? Then you're in violation of Section 1, Subsection A, Paragraph 3, and you owe me." She pointed to the next page. "A penalty of following my design choices for an additional week beyond the contract term." Nash laughed, the sound rich and genuine. "You're actually brilliant. In a terrifying Type A, slightly unhinged way. Section 2 covers your obligations regarding the renovation," she continued, ignoring the way that laugh did something annoying to her pulse. "No unauthorized changes, no questioning my material choices, no painting random walls because you had a creative vision. What do I get out of this again? Besides the magazine coverage that'll bring customers flooding in?" Brooke crossed her arms. "I'll make this restaurant stunning enough that people will wait months for a reservation. And when we stage our breakup, you'll have a completely renovated space and a reputation as the chef talented enough to have almost tamed the untamable Brooke Anderson." "Untamable?" Nash leaned against the counter, studying her with unsettling intensity. "Is that how people see you?" "That's how I see me." She met his gaze steadily. "And it's how I like it." Something shifted in his expression. Not mockery, not that typical charm. Something almost respectful. "Okay." He picked up a pen from the counter. "Where do I sign?" Brooke blinked. "Just like that, no negotiation?" "Oh, I have conditions." Nash flipped to the last page, scrawling his signature with a flourish. "But we can discuss them over breakfast. Have you eaten?" "I don't." "That's a no." He was already moving, pulling ingredients from the industrial fridge. "Sit. I'm making you a proper omelet." "Nash, we have work to..." Section 7, Subsection C. He glanced at her over his shoulder. "Both parties agree to maintain believable chemistry, including occasional shared meals." His smile turned wicked. "You wrote that, Anderson. I'm just following the contract." She had written that. Stupid. Brooke perched on a stool, watching as he moved through the kitchen with unconscious grace, cracking eggs one-handed, dicing herbs with practiced precision. The morning light filtering through the industrial windows caught the sharp line of his jaw, the concentration in his eyes as he worked. This was a mistake, a monumental, career-risking mistake. "So," Nash said, whisking eggs in a bowl, "my conditions." "I'm listening. First, we need a story. How we met, when we fell in love, all that romance stuff Victoria's going to ask about. We met through the renovation, obviously. Too boring." He poured the eggs into a heated pan, the sizzle filling the space. "We need something better. Something that explains why two people who clearly drive each other crazy decided to get married." Brooke drummed her fingers on the counter. "What if we've known each other longer than the renovation? What if we met a year ago, clashed immediately, but kept running into each other at industry events? Enemies to lovers. It's classic. I like it." Nash added herbs and cheese to the omelet with practiced efficiency. What changed? What was the moment I realized I couldn't live without your particular brand of control freak perfectionism? Maybe you didn't. Maybe I'm the one who fell first. Nash's hands stilled for just a second. Then he continued folding the omelet, sliding it onto a plate. Yeah? Makes sense, right? Brooke accepted the plate he offered, the smell making her stomach growl traitorously. Everyone expects the charming chef to sweep the uptight architect off her feet. Flipping the script makes it more interesting, more believable. So, in our story, you spent months resisting your overwhelming attraction to me? In our story, I spent months being annoyed by you until one day I realized that annoyance had shifted into something else. Nash grabbed his own plate, coming around to sit on the stool next to hers. Closer than necessary. When? What was the moment? Brooke took a bite of the omelet, perfectly cooked, rich with herbs she couldn't name, irritatingly delicious, and considered. 3 months ago, you were testing recipes for the spring menu, and you made this, she gestured with her fork, this lemon tart that was so perfect it made me irrationally angry. Irrationally angry, Nash repeated, something dancing in his eyes. Because nobody should be that good at what they do, and that infuriating at the same time. It felt unfair. So you fell for me over a lemon tart. I'm saying the character in our fake story fell for you over a lemon tart. Right, the character. But Nash was looking at her like he knew exactly what she was doing, blurring the lines between story and something dangerously close to truth. And when did I fall for you? In our completely fictional narrative? Brooke shouldn't answer. Should redirect. Keep this professional. Maintain those careful boundaries she'd outlined in her contract. Maybe, she heard herself say. You haven't yet. Maybe that's what these 6 weeks are about. Me trying to convince you I'm worth the risk. The kitchen went very quiet. Just the sound of their breathing and the distant hum of traffic outside. Nash set down his fork. And what if I said that in our completely fictional narrative, I fell the first day we met, when you walked in here with your portfolio and your impossible standards and told me my uncle's design choices were dated but salvageable? That would be, Brooke's throat felt tight, terrible storytelling. Love at first sight is a cliché, not love, recognition. He turned on his stool, facing her fully, like meeting someone and thinking, oh, there you are. You're going to ruin my life in the best possible way. This was acting. This was him being good at the fake engagement, getting into character, making sure their story felt real. It had to be. We should practice, Brooke said abruptly, standing. Public interactions. Make sure we can sell this. Nash stood too, and in the small kitchen space, they were suddenly very close. What did you have in mind? The interview with Victoria is in 5 days. We need to be comfortable with, she gestured vaguely between them. Physical proximity, casual affection. The kind of unconscious touching that real couples do. Unconscious touching. His voice had gone lower, rougher. Like this? He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered for just a moment against her neck. Brooke's breath caught. Yes, that's good. And this? His hand slid to her waist, gentle but sure, pulling her incrementally closer. Nash, we're practicing, Anderson. Isn't that what you wanted? But there was a question in his eyes, permission being asked. She should step back, maintain the boundaries. Remember, this was business. Instead, she put her hand on his chest, feeling his heart beat strong and fast under her palm. What about this? Does this look natural? Very natural. His other hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. Anyone watching would absolutely believe I'm crazy about you. Because you're a good actor. Because you're... He stopped, jaw tightening. We should talk about the other stuff, the practical stuff. The moment broke. Brooke stepped back, her skin cold where his hands had been. Right, yes, practical. Nash turned away, bracing his hands on the counter. Victoria's going to ask about wedding plans. We need dates, venues, something specific. Spring wedding? Next year. Gives us time to plan, and then quietly cancel everything after we break up. Where? Somewhere small, intimate. Maybe that garden venue in Forest Park? The Pittock Mansion overlook? Perfect. It's romantic, it's Portland, it photographs well. They spent the next hour building their fictional relationship, filling in details until it felt real enough to believe. Favorite dates? Saturday market, cooking together in his kitchen. Pet peeves? She hated when he left cabinet doors open. He couldn't stand her label maker obsession. The proposal, spontaneous after a particularly heated argument about tile choices that ended in laughter. By the time Brooke's phone alarm went off, reminding her of her 9 a.m. meeting with the tile supplier, they had a story that could withstand Victoria's questioning. "Same time tomorrow?" Nash asked as she gathered her things. "We should practice more. Make sure we're seamless." "Tomorrow's fine." Brooke paused at the door. "And Nash?" "The omelet was good." "Just good?" "Don't push your luck." His laughter followed her out into the morning sun. Brooke made it 3 blocks before her phone rang. Her best friend Maya's name flashed on the screen. "Tell me," Maya demanded without preamble, "why there's a photo of you kissing some ridiculously hot chef circulating through every design group chat in Portland." "Oh no. It's complicated. Brooke Anderson, are you engaged? And when were you planning to tell your best friend who you've known since sophomore year of college?" "Maya, I can explain. I'm at your apartment in 20 minutes. You better have wine and a very good explanation." The call ended. Brooke stared at her phone, then pulled up her social media. Her heart sank. The photo was everywhere. Her and Nash, locked in that kiss, his hand cradling her face like she was something precious. The caption from Portland Home and Design's Instagram: "Love and design, local power couple Brooke Anderson and Nash Rivers bring their creative chemistry to the Copper and Sage renovation. Full feature coming soon. PDX design, couple goals. Restaurant renovation, 2,147 likes. 312 comments." She scrolled through them. Wait, when did this happen? I didn't even know Brooke was dating anyone. Nash Rivers is engaged, breaking hearts all over Portland. They're absolutely gorgeous together. That kiss, though, this was real now. Public. No taking it back. Her phone buzzed again. A text from Nash. "Nash, saw the Instagram post. We're trending in Portland design circles. Congratulations, fiancé. We're officially committed to this insanity." Nash. "Also, Section 1 subsection A needs revision. That kiss was definitely longer than 5 seconds and I don't regret it." Nash. "See you tomorrow for practice. Wear something nice. I'm taking you to dinner." Brooke. "That's not in the contract." Nash. Section 7 subsection C. "Occasional shared meals. I'm following your rules, Anderson." Nash. "Besides, engaged couples have dinner together. We need to be seen. Make it convincing." He was right, which was becoming an annoying pattern. Brooke. "Fine, but somewhere quiet. Low-key." Nash. "Trust me." Brooke. "I don't." Nash. "You will." Brooke stared at that last message for a long moment. That's what scared her most. That evening, Brooke's apartment. Maya sat on Brooke's couch, wine glass in hand, staring at her with an expression somewhere between shock and amusement. "Let me get this straight," Maya said slowly. "You're fake engaged to Nash Rivers. The Nash Rivers who every single woman in Portland's food scene has been trying to date for the past 2 years. Because you both panicked during a magazine visit? When you say it like that, it sounds ridiculous." Brooke. "It is ridiculous." Maya took a long drink of wine. "It's also the most spontaneous thing you've done in your entire organized, color-coded, perfectly scheduled life. It's a business arrangement. You kissed him. For the photo." "Uh-huh." Maya pulled up the Instagram post on her phone, zooming in. "Nobody kisses like this for business, babe. Look at his hand. Look at your face. This is..." She whistled low. "This is something." Brooke grabbed the phone, looking at the image properly for the first time. Maya was right. The way Nash held her, the softness in her expression, the way their bodies fit together. It didn't look fake. It looked real. Dangerously real. "We're just good actors," Brooke said weakly. "Sure you are." Maya's expression softened. "Honey, when was the last time you let yourself actually feel something? Not plan it, not control it, just feel." "I feel things." "You feel things you schedule into your calendar?" Tuesday, 7 p.m. Allow self to be mildly frustrated. Maya reached over, squeezing Brooke's hand. "I'm not saying fall for this guy. I'm just saying, maybe don't close yourself off to the possibility that something real could come from this fake situation. That's not what this is about." "Okay." Maya stood, grabbing her purse. "But just so you know, that contract you made him sign, that's not protecting your heart, Brooke. That's you being terrified that someone might actually get close enough to matter." After Maya left, Brooke sat alone in her apartment. the city lights of Portland stretching out beyond her windows. She pulled up the contract on her laptop, reading through the careful clauses, the boundaries she'd established. Section 8. Contract termination. Either party may terminate this agreement with 48 hours' notice. Upon termination, both parties agree to stage a mutual, amicable separation and maintain professional courtesy. Simple, clean, controlled. So why did the thought of 48 hours from now, of Nash signing that termination clause and walking away, make her chest feel tight? Her phone buzzed. Nash. Forgot to mention. Wear layers tomorrow night. Where we're going can get cold. Brooke. You're being very mysterious about this dinner. Nash. I'm being romantic. There's a difference. Brooke. Nash, you don't have to actually romance me. This is fake, remember? The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. Nash. What if I want to anyway? Brooke stared at that message until her screen went dark. This was a business arrangement. A temporary solution to a public relations problem. Nothing more. She needed to remember that. Even if Nash Rivers was making it very, very difficult. Nash picked her up at 7, driving a vintage Ford pickup that somehow suited him perfectly. Classic. A little rough around the edges, but well-maintained. Where are we going? Brooke asked as they wound through Portland's West Hills, the city lights spreading out below them like scattered diamonds. You'll see. He glanced at her, and something in his expression made her pulse quicken. You look nice, by the way. Really nice. She'd agonized over the outfit for an embarrassing amount of time, eventually settling on dark jeans, ankle boots, and a soft cream sweater. Casual, but put together, the layers he'd mentioned. It's just dinner, she said. Right, just dinner. But his smile suggested he knew exactly how long she'd spent getting ready. They drove in comfortable silence, jazz playing softly from the speakers. Brooke watched his hands on the steering wheel, confident, capable hands that created beautiful food and painted wrong walls, and had held her face like she mattered. Stop it, Anderson. 20 minutes later, Nash pulled into what looked like a private road. Trees arched overhead, and through the branches Brooke caught glimpses of the sunset painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Nash, where? Patience. He parked near a small clearing, then came around to open her door. Trust me? We've established I don't. Yeah, but you're here anyway. He grabbed a large basket from the truck bed. Come on. He led her down a narrow trail, and suddenly they emerged onto an overlook Brooke had never seen before. The entire city spread out beneath them, the Willamette River cutting through like a silver ribbon. The sky was on fire with sunset colors. Nash, she breathed. This is... My uncle showed me this spot years ago. He set down the basket, pulling out a blanket and spreading it on the ground. Before he got sick, before the restaurant became mine, we'd come up here when the kitchen got too hot, too stressful. He'd say that sometimes you need to remember what you're working for, who you're feeding, why it all matters. Brooke heard the shift in his voice, something raw and real beneath the usual charm. I didn't know he passed away. 2 years ago. Nash pulled out containers of food, arranging them with care. Cancer, quick and brutal. He left me half the restaurant, left the other half to his sous chef, Marco. That's who I co-own with. I'm sorry. He'd have liked you, actually. Uncle James appreciated people who gave him straight answers. No sugarcoating. Said charm was cheap, honesty was valuable. Nash looked at her. You've never once told me what I wanted to hear. Always what I needed to hear. I respect that. Something in Brooke's chest squeezed tight. She sat down on the blanket watching as he revealed the feast he'd prepared. Fresh bread, 3 different cheeses, cured meats, olives, fresh figs, and... Is that your lemon tart? Nash grinned. The one that made you irrationally angry? Yeah, thought we should honor the fictional turning point in our fake relationship. You're ridiculous. And yet, you're still here. They ate as the sun set, and Nash told her stories about learning to cook from his uncle, about burning his first risotto and nearly setting the kitchen on fire trying to flambe, about the time he got so focused on perfecting a dish that he forgot he'd invited people over for dinner. They arrived to find him still experimenting at midnight. That's why you do it, isn't it? Brooke said, understanding clicking into place. The spontaneous changes, the creative chaos. It's not that you don't respect the plan. It's that cooking is alive for you. It evolves. Nash stilled, a piece of bread halfway to his mouth. Yeah, exactly that. He set down the bread. Nobody's ever, you just got it. Just like that. I get being passionate about your work. I just express it differently. With label makers and contracts and color-coded spreadsheets. With precision. With intention. With making sure that every detail serves the larger vision. She met his eyes. Your uncle's restaurant. When I first walked in, I could see what it had been. Warm, welcoming, full of life. And I could see what it could become. My job is to honor the past while building something sustainable for the future. That's why you fought me so hard on the changes. Every choice matters, Nash. The lighting, the textures, the flow of space. It all tells a story. She took a breath. Your navy wall? In isolation, it's beautiful, bold and confident and unexpected. But it doesn't serve the story I was trying to tell, which was about your uncle's legacy meeting your modern vision. Grage was neutral ground, a bridge between past and present. Nash was quiet for a long moment, the city lights below them starting to twinkle as darkness fell. I never thought about it like that. And you never asked. You just assumed I was being difficult for the sake of control. I assumed a lot of things about you. He shifted closer on the blanket, his shoulder brushing hers. Most of them were wrong. Like what? I thought you were cold, uptight, incapable of spontaneity. His voice dropped. Turns out you're just careful, protecting something. Brooke's breath caught. I'm not, you are, and that's okay. He turned to face her fully. What happened? What made you need this much control? She should deflect, change the subject, maintain the professional distance. Instead, she heard herself saying, I was 19 when my parents died. Car accident, black ice, wrong place, wrong time. One phone call and everything I knew was gone. Nash's hand found hers, fingers intertwining. He didn't speak, just listened. I had to plan a funeral while dealing with estate lawyers and insurance companies and 100 decisions I wasn't ready to make. And I realized that chaos kills. Lack of planning destroys. If I'd known about the storm, I could have called them, told them to wait. If someone had salted that road properly. If. Brooke. So I became someone who plans, who anticipates, who controls every variable I can because I never want to feel that powerless again. She looked at their joined hands. And then you show up, painting random walls and changing tile orders and being so comfortable with uncertainty that it makes you what? Terrified and envious. And she met his eyes, attracted, which is the most inconvenient thing of all. The words hung in the air between them, real words, honest words, breaking through the careful boundaries she'd constructed. Nash's thumb traced circles on her palm. You know what I thought when I first met you? That I was uptight? That you were breathtaking. His voice was rough. You walked into my kitchen like you owned it, started listing everything wrong with the space, and I thought, I'm in so much trouble, because you were brilliant and sharp and completely unimpressed by me, and I wanted nothing more than to make you smile. Nash, we're supposed to be, I know, fake, a business arrangement. He lifted their joined hands, pressing his lips to her knuckles. But this, right now, this feels pretty real to me. Brooke's heart hammered against her ribs. We can't. The contract, forget the contract. He cupped her face and she could see the sunset reflected in his green eyes. I'm not asking for forever. I'm not even asking for tomorrow. I'm just asking for right now, for honesty. Do you feel this? She should say no. Should pull back, reestablish boundaries, remember this was temporary. Yes, she whispered instead. I feel it. Nash kissed her then, and it was nothing like the performative kiss for the camera. This was slow, searching, achingly tender. His hands cradled her face like she was something precious, and she wound her fingers into his hair, pulling him closer. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Nash rested his forehead against hers. Still tolerable, he murmured. Shut up. But she was smiling. They stayed on that overlook as night fell completely, stars emerging overhead. Nash told her about his dreams for the restaurant, seasonal menus, farm partnerships, maybe eventually a cooking school. Brooke shared her vision for her firm, designing spaces that didn't just look beautiful, but felt like home. What if, Nash said as they packed up the remnants of their picnic, we did this without the contract, without the rules and boundaries and pretending? Brooke's chest tightened. We have to finish the renovation, the magazine feature. We committed to, I'm not talking about the fake engagement. I'm talking about what happens after. He caught her hand, pulling her close. When this is over, when we stage our breakup and go back to our separate lives. What if we didn't? Nash, just think about it. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility. The drive back to her apartment was quieter, but the silence felt different now, charged, full of unspoken words. When Nash walked her to her door, he kissed her again, briefer this time, but no less devastating. Section 1. Subsection A needs a serious revision, he said against her lips. 5 seconds is nowhere near enough. You're not supposed to like the contract. I like the woman who wrote it. He stepped back, shoving his hands in his pockets like he didn't trust himself not to pull her close again. See you tomorrow? Tile meeting at 9. I'll bring coffee. Extra shot, no sugar, right? The fact that he knew her coffee order shouldn't make her feel warm, but it did. Good night, Nash. Good night, Brooke. She watched him walk away, watched his truck disappear around the corner, then let herself into her apartment. Her phone buzzed immediately. Maya. So, how was the definitely not a real date with your fake fiancé? Brooke. It was fine. Maya. Liar. Tell me everything. Brooke. Tomorrow, I need to think. Maya. Uh-oh. You're catching feelings. Brooke. I'm not catching feelings. Maya. You're using short sentences and avoiding details. Classic Brooke is freaking out behavior. Just be careful, okay? I know you're scared, but don't let fear make your decisions. Brooke set down her phone and walked to her window, looking out at the city lights. She'd built her entire adult life around control, around never being blindsided by chaos again, around protecting herself from the unpredictable, uncontrollable messiness of human connection. And then Nash Rivers had painted the wrong wall and kissed her in front of a magazine editor, and suddenly all her careful plans were unraveling. The terrifying part? She wasn't sure she wanted to stop them. 3 days later, the Copper and Sage. The magazine interview was scheduled for 2 p.m. Brooke arrived at noon to find Nash already there, testing the lighting she'd installed the day before. What do you think? She asked, gesturing to the warm Edison bulbs hanging at staggered heights above what would soon be the main dining area. It's perfect. Nash looked at her. Like everything you do. They'd seen each other every day since the Overlook. Morning coffee meetings that turned into long conversations. Working side by side on the renovation. Quick lunches that felt less like obligation and more like dating. Neither of them had mentioned it. Neither had acknowledged the shift. But it was there. Undeniable. We should review our story, Brooke said, pulling out her tablet. Make sure we're aligned on the details. Or, Nash caught her hand, pulling her close. We could stop pretending this is still fake. Nash. When we tell Victoria about how we fell in love, I don't want to be lying. His hands settled on her waist, familiar and right. These past few days, getting to know you, the real you, not the professional armor you wear. It's been the best part of my week. My month? Maybe my year. We're supposed to break up when the renovation is done. Says who? A contract you wrote when you were scared? He brushed a strand of hair from her face. What if we rewrote the ending? Brooke's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, Victoria, confirming she was 15 minutes away. We have to focus, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. The interview will be easy because we won't be lying. Nash kissed her forehead. Just trust me. Trust this. The door opened. Victoria Lang swept in with her assistant, camera already clicking. The happy couple, Victoria beamed. You both look radiant. Love clearly agrees with you. Nash's hand found Brooke's, their fingers intertwining automatically. She felt his thumb brush her palm. Their signal. I've got you. Shall we begin? Victoria pulled out a recorder. I want to hear everything. How you fell in love. What made you realize this was forever. How you balance your strong personalities. Brooke opened her mouth, prepared to deliver their practiced story. But Nash spoke first. It wasn't one moment, he said, looking at Brooke with something in his eyes that made her breath catch. It was 100 small ones. The way she considers every detail. How she fights for what she believes in. The way she looks at a space and sees not just what it is, but what it could become. He squeezed her hand. She makes me want to be better, more intentional. She makes chaos feel like possibility instead of fear. That wasn't their story, that was real. Victoria leaned forward, captivated. And you, Brooke? When did you know? Brooke could play it safe. Stick to the lemon tart story. Keep her heart locked away. Or she could leap. When he showed me his uncle's overlook, she heard herself say. When he trusted me with something that mattered. When I realized that his spontaneity isn't recklessness, it's courage. The courage to try, to fail, to try again. Something I've been too scared to do for years. Nash's eyes widened slightly, understanding flickering there. That's beautiful, Victoria said. And the proposal? Tell me everything. They told the story they'd created. The argument about tiles that turned into laughter. The spontaneous question. The surprised yes. But as they spoke, Brooke realized they weren't describing a fiction anymore. They were describing a possibility. The interview lasted 2 hours. Victoria asked about wedding plans, about balancing 2 creative careers, about whether they wanted children someday. With each question, Brooke felt the lines between fake and real blur further. When Victoria finally packed up her equipment, she paused at the door. You know what makes your story special? It's not that you're opposites. It's that you see each other. Really see each other. That's rare. She smiled. Hold on to it. After she left, Brooke and Nash stood in the empty restaurant, surrounded by half-finished renovations and the weight of what had just happened. So, Nash said quietly, that was real. That was real. Brooke turned to face him. We just told a magazine that we're in love. Were we lying? The question hung between them, enormous and terrifying and undeniable. I don't know, Brooke whispered. I don't know what this is. Nash stepped closer, framing her face with his hands. Then let's figure it out. For real this time. No contract, no rules, no fake timeline, just you and me seeing where this goes. What if it doesn't work? What if we crash and burn and ruin everything? What if we don't? His eyes searched hers. What if it's everything, Brooke? What if you let yourself have this? She thought about her parents, about the phone call that shattered her world, about the years she'd spent building walls to keep out exactly this kind of vulnerability. And she thought about Nash, infuriating, spontaneous, brave Nash, who painted the wrong walls and made perfect lemon tarts and looked at her like she was worth the risk. Okay, she breathed. Okay, we try. For real. Nash's smile was brighter than all the Edison bulbs she'd installed. He kissed her, deep and sure and real, and for the first time in 8 years, Brooke Anderson let herself fall without a safety net. It was terrifying. It was perfect. That evening, Brooke's phone exploded with messages after Victoria posted a teaser photo on Instagram. Her and Nash, caught in an unguarded moment during the interview, looking at each other like nothing else existed. Maya. Brooke. Call me. That photo is not fake. Previous client. Sandra. Saw the feature teaser. So happy for you. When's the wedding? Former professor. Brooke, this is wonderful news. You deserve this happiness. And one that made her pause. Unknown number. Hi Brooke, this is Marco Chen, Nash's business partner. Just wanted to say welcome to the family. Haven't seen Nash this happy in years. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She was staring at that message when Nash texted. Nash, Marco says he texted you. Ignore him, he's embarrassingly sentimental. Brooke, he said you're happy. Nash, he's not wrong. Brooke, Nash, this is moving fast. Maybe too fast. Nash, or maybe it's moving exactly as fast as it should. Come over, I'll cook for you. We'll talk about pace and boundaries and whatever else is making you spiral. Brooke, I'm not spiraling. Nash, you absolutely are. It's kind of adorable. Come over anyway. Brooke, fine, but we are talking about boundaries. Nash, whatever you need. Bring your label maker if it helps. She laughed despite herself, despite the fear curling in her chest, despite everything. This was real now. No contract, no rules, no safety net. Just possibility. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. 3 weeks into their real relationship, Brooke woke up in Nash's apartment for the first time. Sunlight streamed through the industrial windows of his loft above the restaurant, illuminating exposed brick walls and a kitchen that looked like it belonged in a culinary magazine. She was wrapped in his sheets wearing his t-shirt, and she could hear him moving around downstairs. The clink of pans, the gentle hiss of something cooking. Her phone on the nightstand showed 7:47 a.m. and a text from Maya. Maya, please tell me you're not still at Nash's place. We have the Henderson presentation at 9. Shoot. Brooke bolted upright. The Henderson project, a major corporate office redesign that could make or break her firm's financial year. She'd been so caught up in Nash and the restaurant that she'd let it slip to the back of her mind. She scrambled out of bed, hunting for her clothes from last night's impromptu dinner that had turned into wine and conversation, and eventually, inevitably, more. Nash appeared in the doorway with 2 coffee mugs, his hair adorably disheveled, wearing only pajama pants. "Morning, I made—" He paused, taking in her frantic state. "What's wrong?" "Presentation, 9 a.m. I completely forgot." She found her jeans, tugged them on. "I need to go home, change, grab my materials." "Brooke, breathe, it's not even 8. You have time." "I don't have my presentation boards, my backup laptop, my—" Her voice cracked slightly. "I never forget presentations, Nash, never." He set down the mugs, crossing to her. "Hey, look at me." His hands settled on her shoulders, warm and grounding. "You're brilliant. You know this project inside and out, so you're not as prepared as you usually are. That doesn't change how talented you are. You don't understand, this is a huge account. If I mess this up, you won't. And even if something goes wrong, it won't be because you spent the night with me." His thumb brushed her cheek. "Unless you regret it." "No, I don't regret." She stopped, meeting his eyes. "That's the problem. I don't regret it at all. And I should. I should regret getting distracted from work, from my responsibilities, from being in control every second." Nash said gently. "Brooke, you're allowed to be human, to be spontaneous sometimes, to prioritize something besides work. Easy for you to say. Your life is spontaneity, and your life is all structure. Maybe we both need a little of what the other has." He kissed her forehead. "Go. Knock their socks off. I'll see you tonight at the restaurant. Marco wants to meet you officially." Right, meeting Nash's business partner. Another thing she'd agreed to without fully thinking through. She grabbed her bag, kissed Nash quickly, and rushed out. The Henderson presentation was a disaster. Not because Brooke wasn't prepared. Her knowledge and vision were solid, but because the preliminary boards she'd brought were for an earlier version of the design. And when Mr. Henderson asked about the updated cost projections, she didn't have the revised numbers. "I apologize," Brooke said, maintaining her composure even as her stomach churned. "I can have the updated materials to you by end of day. Ms. Anderson, we're making a decision by tomorrow morning." Mr. Henderson's expression was cool. "We have 2 other firms presenting this afternoon, both of whom I'm confident will arrive fully prepared." The meeting ended 20 minutes early. Brooke walked to her car in a daze, got inside, and let her head fall against the steering wheel. She never messed up presentations, never showed up unprepared, never let personal life interfere with professional excellence. Until Nash. Her phone rang. "Maya, how did it—" "Wait, why do you sound like that? What happened?" Brooke explained, her voice flat. "I forgot the updated boards, the revised budget, everything I needed to actually close the deal." "Okay, but you can still fix this. Send everything over, follow up with—" "I already lost it, Maya. I could see it in his face." Brooke's throat tightened. "This is what I was afraid of, getting distracted, losing focus, letting someone matter so much that I forget who I am." "Brooke, honey, one bad presentation doesn't—" "It's not just the presentation. It's everything. I'm staying at his place, spending every evening at the restaurant, rearranging my schedule to accommodate his life. I'm turning into someone I don't recognize." Maya was quiet for a moment. "Are you happy?" The question caught Brooke off guard. "What?" "With Nash. When you're with him, are you happy?" "That's not the point." "It's exactly the point. Brooke, I've known you for almost a decade, and in all that time I've watched you be successful, accomplished, respected. But happy? Actually, genuinely happy? That's new, and it scares you." "Of course it scares me. The last time I let myself be happy, the last time I didn't plan for every possible disaster, I lost everything that mattered." "So you're going to push Nash away because he makes you feel something real, because he disrupts your carefully controlled life?" Maya's voice softened. "That's not protecting yourself. That's just being alone." After they hung up, Brooke sat in her car for a long time. Then she drove to her office, pulled the updated Henderson materials, and worked for 6 straight hours perfecting a follow-up presentation. Professional, controlled, back in her element. She didn't text Nash, didn't think about tonight's dinner with Marco, just worked. This was who she was, who she needed to be. At 7 p.m., Brooke's phone exploded with calls from Nash. She ignored them, focused on color-correcting the final presentation board. At 7:30, Maya texted, "Maya, Nash just called me asking if you're okay. What's going on?" Brooke, "Working. Tell him I'll reschedule." Maya, "Brooke, don't do this." She turned off her phone. At 8:15, there was a knock on her office door. Brooke looked up to find Nash standing there, still in his chef's coat. Concern etched across his face. "You weren't answering." He stepped inside, closing the door. "I got worried." "I'm fine, just busy." She turned back to her screen. "I'm sorry about tonight, something came up. The Henderson presentation." "How did you?" "Maya told me. After I called her panicking because my girlfriend disappeared for 12 hours. Nash crossed the office, gently turning her chair to face him. "Talk to me. What happened?" "I messed up, showed up unprepared, potentially lost a massive account." Her voice was steady, professional. "So I'm fixing it, that's all. By shutting me out, by focusing on my work, on what actually matters." Nash flinched like she'd struck him. "Wow, okay." Brooke immediately regretted the words. "Nash, I didn't mean—" "No, I get it. Work matters. I don't." He shoved his hands in his pockets, jaw tight. "You know what's funny? I thought we were past this. Past you running every time things felt too real. I'm not running. You're terrified. Of us. Of feeling something you can't control. Of the possibility that maybe love is worth being a little messy for." He stepped closer, and she could see the hurt in his eyes mixed with frustration. "One bad presentation and you're ready to throw away what we have? It's not about the presentation. It's about the fact that I'm losing myself. I'm making mistakes I never made before. I'm distracted, unfocused. You're human. You're allowed to be. I can't afford to be." The words burst out louder than she intended. "I built everything I have by being perfect. By never slipping up, never losing control, never depending on anyone. And then you happened. And suddenly I'm spending nights at your place instead of working. I'm forgetting important meetings. Her voice broke. "I'm becoming someone who gets hurt again." The office went silent. Nash's expression softened. "Brooke, you asked me to trust this, to jump without a safety net." She looked at him, and she could feel tears threatening. "But you don't know what it cost me the first time. You don't know what it feels like to have everything ripped away because you didn't see the danger coming." "You're right, I don't know." Nash crouched down so they were eye level. "But I do know that living scared isn't living, and pushing away everyone who might matter. That's not safety, that's just a different kind of loss. So what do you want from me? I want you to stop punishing yourself for being imperfect. Stop equating one mistake with total failure." His hand covered hers. "I want you to let me be here for the messy parts, the scared parts, the human parts. What if I can't? What if I'm too broken?" "You're not broken. You're just scared, and that's okay." He squeezed her hand. "But don't make decisions about us from a place of fear. Not after everything we've—" Brooke's office phone rang. She glanced at it. Mr. Henderson's office number. Her stomach dropped. Nash saw her expression. "Take it. I'll wait," she answered, putting it on speaker. "This is Brooke Anderson. Ms. Anderson, this is Jennifer from Mr. Henderson's office. He asked me to call and schedule a follow-up meeting for tomorrow morning at 8. He received your updated materials and would like to discuss moving forward with your firm." Brooke's breath caught. "He does?" "Yes, he was particularly impressed with your responsiveness and the revised projections. Is 8 a.m. workable?" "Yes, absolutely, thank you." After she hung up, she stared at the phone in disbelief. "I didn't lose it. He wants to move forward." "Of course he does. You're brilliant." Nash stood, pulling her up with him. "One rough morning didn't change that. Just like being with me doesn't make you less focused or less professional. It just makes you more complete." Brooke looked at him. This man who painted wrong walls and made perfect lemon tarts and somehow saw past every defense she'd built. "I'm sorry. For shutting you out. For saying work was all that mattered. You were scared, I get it." He cupped her face. "But Brooke, you can't keep running every time something goes wrong. Relationships, real ones, survive bad days. They survive mistakes and fear and imperfection. I don't know how to do this, how to be with someone and still be me. Then we figure it out together. That's what partners do." He kissed her softly. "You don't have to choose between your work and us. You can have both. You just have to let yourself." She wrapped her arms around him, pressing her face into his shoulder. "I'm going to mess this up sometimes. Freak out, spiral, try to control things. I know. and I'll probably make impulsive decisions that drive you crazy and paint the occasional wrong wall. She could hear the smile in his voice. But we'll figure it out. Together. Together, she repeated, testing the word, letting it settle. Nash pulled back enough to see her face. Come on. Marco's probably eaten all the appetizers by now, but we can still catch dinner. He's dying to meet you. Now. I look terrible. I've been working all day. You look beautiful. And Marco already loves you because you make me happy. He grabbed her coat. Come on, Anderson, time to be spontaneous. I hate being spontaneous. Liar. He kissed her again, deeper this time. You're getting pretty good at it. The Copper and Sage, 2 hours later. Marco Chen turned out to be a 45-year-old man with kind eyes, an easy laugh, and an encyclopedic knowledge of Nash's most embarrassing kitchen disasters. So there's Nash, convinced he's created the next great fusion dish, Marco said, refilling their wine glasses. Wasabi ice cream with soy caramel, and I'm trying to tell him gently that some things shouldn't be fused. It was innovative, Nash protested. It was terrible. We had to throw out the entire batch. Marco grinned at Brooke. But that's Nash, fails spectacularly, then gets back up and tries something even crazier. Sounds familiar, Brooke said, glancing at the navy wall that she'd eventually decided to keep. It did look good, in its own chaotic way. I'm glad he found you, Marco said more seriously. After Uncle James died, Nash threw himself into work. Didn't date, didn't take time off, just cooked and experimented and pretended he was fine. This past month, first time I've seen him actually live instead of just survive. Nash's hand found Brooke's under the table. Brooke's good at making me slow down, consider consequences, plan ahead. And Nash is good at making me remember that not everything needs a contingency plan, Brooke added, that sometimes the best moments are the unplanned ones. Look at you two, Marco said warmly, balancing each other out. That's what good partnerships do. They talked for hours. About the restaurant, about Marco's husband and their 2 kids, about Brooke's design philosophy and Nash's culinary dreams. It was easy, comfortable, real. When Marco finally left, Brooke helped Nash clean up the kitchen. So, Nash said, washing plates while she dried, Marco's husband David wants to set up a double date. Something about couples trivia night at this bar in Hawthorne. Couples trivia? I know, it sounds terrible. But David's weirdly competitive about pub trivia, and Marco promised me you'd be an asset on the team. Because I'm smart or because I'm organized? Both. Also, you're cute when you're concentrating. He bumped her hip with his. Say yes. Be spontaneous. Brooke considered. A month ago, she would have said no, would have checked her calendar, weighed the pros and cons, found a professional reason to decline. Yes, she said instead. Let's do it. Nash's face lit up. Yeah? Yeah. But I'm warning you, I'm extremely competitive, and I expect you to actually study before trivia night. There's my girl. He pulled her close, soap bubbles and all. Control freak and spontaneous. We're making this work. We really are, she said, and for the first time she actually believed it. Later that night, back at Nash's loft, they lay tangled together in his bed. The city lights of Portland glowed beyond the windows, and Brooke traced idle patterns on Nash's chest. Hey, he said softly, I love you. The words hung in the air, unexpected, enormous, terrifying. Brooke's first instinct was to deflect, to make a joke, to protect herself from the vulnerability of this moment. Instead, she tilted her face up to meet his eyes. I love you too. Nash's smile was devastating. Yeah. Even though you paint wrong walls and make impulsive decisions and constantly challenge every safety mechanism I've built, especially because of those things? Maybe. She kissed him softly. Probably. Say it again. I love you, Nash Rivers. One more time. Demanding. But she was smiling. I love you. He rolled them over, pinning her beneath him, his expression suddenly serious. I'm going to make mistakes. Probably a lot of them. I'll be too impulsive, too chaotic, I know. And I'll be too controlling, too scared, too rigid about plans. And we'll fight about it. Probably. But we'll figure it out. He kissed her jaw, her neck, making her breath hitch. Because this, us, worth fighting for. Worth fighting for, she agreed. And as Nash showed her exactly how much he loved her, as she let herself fall into the moment without planning or controlling or protecting, Brooke realized something profound. Safety wasn't about avoiding risk. It was about finding someone worth taking risks for. The next morning, Brooke woke early, sneaking out of bed to prepare for her Henderson meeting. This time she had everything: updated boards, revised budgets, 3 backup presentation plans. Nash was still sleeping when she left, but she found a note on her laptop in the kitchen. "You're going to crush this presentation, and then tonight we're celebrating your success and us. I'm cooking you something special. Love, your chaotically spontaneous boyfriend who paints wrong walls. P.S. I love you, get used to hearing it." She photographed the note, smiling despite her nerves. The Henderson presentation went perfectly. Mr. Henderson signed the contract before she'd even finished her closing pitch. Brooke walked out of that office feeling like she was flying. She texted Nash immediately. "Brooke, got the contract. You were right. Nash, told you, you're brilliant. Celebrating tonight?" Brooke, "Absolutely. But Nash? Yeah? Brooke, I love you. Get used to hearing it back. Nash, best text of my life. See you tonight, beautiful." Brooke sat in her car, looking at that exchange, and realized with perfect clarity, this was what her parents must have felt. This joy, this certainty, this sense of having found something worth protecting. They died too soon, lost to chaos and chance and terrible timing, but they'd lived, loved, taken risks and built something beautiful. Maybe that was the real lesson, not to avoid risk, but to live fully enough that whatever time you got mattered. She started her car and drove to the restaurant. Time to start really living. 2 weeks before the restaurant's grand reopening, everything was perfect. The renovation was complete. Brooke's design had transformed the copper and sage into something magical. Warm lighting, the navy accent wall that she'd learned to love, custom furniture that balanced Nash's modern sensibility with his uncle's traditional warmth. Portland Home and Design had scheduled their feature for the week of the opening. Nash's menu was finalized, staff hired, opening night reservations fully booked for the first month. Brooke and Nash had fallen into an easy rhythm. Mornings at her place, evenings at the restaurant, weekends exploring Portland together. She'd taught him the joy of planning. He'd taught her the beauty of spontaneity. It was perfect, which is why Brooke should have known something would go wrong. Monday, 6:47 a.m. Brooke woke to her phone ringing. Nash's name on the screen. She smiled, reaching for it. "Morning, you. Calling to tell me you miss me already?" "Brooke." His voice was wrong, tight, stressed. "I need you to come to the restaurant now." She sat up, instantly alert. "What's wrong?" "Just come, please." She threw on clothes and drove through early morning traffic, her mind racing through possibilities. A problem with the final inspection? An issue with the permits? Nothing prepared her for what she found. The restaurant's front windows were shattered. Glass littered the sidewalk, and spray painted across her beautiful navy wall in angry red letters: fraud, liar, fake. Nash stood in the middle of the destruction, his face pale. Marco was on the phone with the police, and on the floor, surrounded by glass, were printed pages, screenshots of Brooke's original fake engagement contract. Her blood turned to ice. "Nash!" Someone leaked the contract. "It's everywhere." He held up his phone, and she could see the headlines. Portland's perfect couple built on lies. Fake engagement contract exposed. Designer and chef orchestrated romance for publicity. The Copper and Sage's love story was calculated business deal. Brooke felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. How did they get? I don't know, but it's bad, Brooke. Really bad. Nash ran his hand through his hair. Victoria Lang already called. She's pulling the feature. Says her magazine won't be complicit in deceptive marketing practices. No, we can explain. Explain what? That we started as fake and then it became real? Nash laughed bitterly. Who's going to believe that? Look at this. He showed her his phone. Instagram comments, Twitter threads, all viciously tearing them apart. Knew it was too good to be true. Everything for likes and publicity. This is disgusting. Using fake love to sell a restaurant? She probably isn't even a real designer, just another influencer scam. The opening, Brooke whispered. All those reservations. 50 cancellations already. People calling to say they won't support dishonest businesses. Nash's jaw was tight. And it's not just the restaurant, your firm. Brooke's phone rang. Her business partner, Rachel. Please tell me this contract circulating online is fake, Rachel said without preamble. Please tell me you didn't actually create a fake engagement for publicity. Rachel, it's complicated. It's not complicated. You made our firm look like we do anything for press, including fabricating relationships. The Henderson account just called. They're reconsidering the contract. Brooke, this could destroy us. The call ended. Brooke stared at her phone, feeling everything she'd built crumbling around her. Who would do this? She asked Nash. Who had access to that contract? I don't know. I kept my copy in my apartment. You kept yours in my office. Brooke's stomach sank. My office where clients come in and out, where I had it filed under personal legal documents. She looked at Nash. This is my fault. I should have destroyed it after we decided to be real. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Nash gestured to the destruction. Someone wanted to hurt us, and they succeeded. The police arrived, took statements, examined the vandalism, but Brooke could see the judgment in their eyes, like maybe they deserved this for lying. After the police left, Marco pulled them both aside. Listen, I know this is terrible, but we can survive this. We explained that yes, it started as a business arrangement, but real feelings developed. People love a good redemption story. No one's going to believe us, Nash said flatly. We look like opportunistic liars who got caught, so we proved them wrong. Marco looked between them. The opening is in 2 weeks. We go ahead with it. We show Portland that whatever this started as, the restaurant is real. The food is real. The love is... He paused. The love is real, right? Of course it is, Brooke said immediately, reaching for Nash's hand. But Nash stepped back. I need some air. He walked out, leaving Brooke standing in the wreckage of everything they'd built. 3 hours later, Brooke spent the morning doing damage control, calling clients, explaining, apologizing. Most were understanding. Some weren't. The Henderson account officially pulled their contract. 6 months of work and a significant portion of her firm's projected revenue gone. Maya brought coffee and moral support. Okay, so someone leaked your contract. It's bad. But you and Nash, you're solid, right? You love each other. That's what matters. I don't know if that's enough. Brooke stared at the coffee without drinking it. His restaurant opening is ruined. My reputation is damaged. All because of this fake engagement that I insisted on documenting. You couldn't have known. I should have. I should have destroyed that contract the moment we decided to be real. But I kept it. Filed it away like every other business document because that's what I do. I document and plan and control. Her voice broke. And now Nash is paying for my need to have everything in writing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Nash. Nash, need some time to think. Don't come by tonight. Brooke's chest tightened. He's pulling away. Give him space. He's processing. This is a lot. But Brooke had been through loss before. She recognized the warning signs. The distance, the careful words, the way someone started detaching before they left completely. She'd spent 8 years building walls to avoid this exact feeling. And here she was anyway, drowning in it. That evening, Nash's apartment. Nash sat in the dark, staring at his uncle's old recipe book. The pages were worn, stained with decades of use. Notes in the margins about adjusting seasoning, trying new techniques, failing and trying again. His phone showed 37 missed calls. Most from reporters, a few from friends, several from Brooke. He hadn't answered any of them. The doorbell rang. Nash ignored it. It rang again, and again. Finally, a key turned in the lock. Marco using his emergency key. You're sitting in the dark, that's not a good sign. Marco flipped on a light, making Nash wince. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. Really, because I just spent 3 hours fielding calls from suppliers who want to pull their contracts, staff who are worried about working for a dishonest establishment, and media outlets asking for statements about your fake relationship. Marco sat down across from him. So yeah, I think there's plenty to talk about. What do you want me to say? That I messed up? That I started a fake engagement for publicity and now it's blown up in my face? I want you to say that despite how it started, what you and Brooke have is real. Because it is, isn't it? Nash was quiet for a long moment. I love her, more than I've ever loved anyone. And all of this, the vandalism, the lost reservations, the destroyed reputation, it's because I kissed her in front of a magazine editor. Because I made an impulsive decision without thinking about consequences. You sound like Brooke. All consequences and planning and fear. Maybe she was right. Maybe we should have stuck to the contract, kept it fake, protected ourselves. Or maybe, Marco said carefully, you're scared. The restaurant is your uncle's legacy, and you're terrified of failing him. So instead of fighting for what you built, both the restaurant and the relationship, you're looking for an out. That's not Nash. I knew Uncle James for 20 years. You know what he told me before he died? He said his biggest regret was playing it safe, not taking risks, not following his heart. Marco leaned forward. He left you this restaurant because he knew you wouldn't make that mistake. You'd swing big, fail spectacularly sometimes, but never stop trying. This isn't just about me. Brooke's career is damaged because of this. Then fight for her. Show Portland that what you have is worth defending. Marco stood. But if you're going to give up, if you're going to let this destroy you both, at least have the courage to tell her to her face. She deserves that much. After Marco left, Nash sat with his phone in his hand. He pulled up Brooke's contact. Her photo smiled at him, taken at the overlook, golden hour light making her glow, genuine joy on her face. His thumb hovered over the call button. Then he set the phone down and returned to sitting in the dark. 2 days later, Brooke's office. Brooke hadn't heard from Nash in 48 hours. She'd thrown herself into work, rebuilding client relationships, pitching new projects, proving that one scandal didn't define her entire career. Rachel had been supportive but cautious. They'd lost the Henderson account but secured 2 smaller projects through sheer determination. Maya appeared in her doorway. You look terrible. Thanks, that's helpful. Have you eaten? Slept? Talked to Nash? No, and no. Brooke didn't look up from her laptop. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're doing that thing where you bury yourself in work to avoid feeling things. Maya closed the laptop. Talk to him. Work this out. He asked for space. I'm giving it to him. It's been 2 days. That's not space, that's ghosting. He's dealing with a destroyed restaurant opening. He doesn't need me adding to his stress. Or he needs you exactly now and you're both too scared to reach out. Maya sighed. Remember what you told me when this all started? That you were terrified of caring about someone because you might lose them? You're proving yourself right. You're losing Nash. Not because of the scandal, but because you're both choosing fear over fighting. Maya squeezed her shoulder. Sometimes the bravest thing is not giving up, is saying, I love you and I'm not going anywhere, even when everything's falling apart. After Maya left, Brooke sat in her office staring at her phone. She could call Nash, could go to his apartment, demand they talk, refuse to let this destroy them. Or she could protect herself, could accept that maybe this relationship was doomed from the start, could return to her carefully controlled life where no one got close enough to hurt her. Her phone buzzed. Victoria Lang. Ms. Anderson, I've been thinking about the situation. Brooke's heart leaped. Victoria, I can explain. I don't need explanations. I need honesty. Victoria's voice was crisp. Did you and Mr. Rivers begin your relationship as a fake engagement? Yes. And is it still fake? Brooke closed her eyes. No, it became real. We fell in love. Everything we told you in that interview was true, just in a different way than you thought. Interesting. A pause. I'm going to offer you something. An interview. Both of you together. You tell the real story, how it started, why it started, when it became genuine. Give Portland the truth. Why would you do that? Because I've been in this business for 20 years, Ms. Anderson. I know the difference between people lying and people who fell in love unexpectedly. Victoria's voice softened slightly. That photo of you two during our interview? That wasn't fake. Anyone with eyes could see it. So either you're both excellent actors or something real happened. I'm betting on real. Brooke's voice caught. I don't know if Nash will agree. He's not speaking to me right now. Then convince him. You have until Friday. That's when my feature runs. Either with your interview explaining the truth or without it, letting the current narrative stand. Victoria paused. For what it's worth, I hope you fight for this. Real love is too rare to let scandal destroy it. After hanging up, Brooke sat perfectly still. She could hear her mother's voice in her head, the last conversation they'd had before the accident. Baby girl, being safe is good, but don't be so safe that you forget to live. Promise me you'll take risks on the things that matter. She'd promised, and then her parents died and she'd broken that promise for 8 years, until Nash. Brooke grabbed her keys and headed for the door. Time to fight. Nash's apartment. 8:47 p.m. Nash opened his door to find Brooke standing there, rain-soaked and determined. "We need to talk," she said. "Brooke, I told you. I know what you told me. Space, time, processing." She pushed past him into the apartment. "Well, I've given you 2 days, that's enough." Nash closed the door, crossing his arms. "I'm not ready." "Then get ready, because I'm not leaving until we deal with this." She turned to face him, and he could see she'd been crying. "Victoria called. She's offering us a chance to tell the real story, an interview where we explain everything. The fake engagement, how it became real, why we deserve a second chance. Brooke, I know you're scared. I know this scandal has hurt your restaurant, hurt your reputation, but running away isn't going to fix it." Her voice shook slightly. "And pushing me away because things got hard? That's not the Nash I fell in love with. Maybe the Nash you fell in love with doesn't exist. Maybe I'm just an impulsive idiot who ruins everything he touches." "Don't." Brooke stepped closer. "Don't do that. Don't rewrite our entire relationship because one thing went wrong." "One thing?" "Brooke, look around. The restaurant opening is a disaster. Your firm lost a major account. We're the laughingstock of Portland's food and design scene, all because I couldn't keep my hands off you long enough to think clearly. You kissed me because you felt something real, just like I kissed you back because I felt it too." She reached for him, but he stepped away. "Nash, please, don't let this destroy us. Maybe we were doomed from the start. Maybe you were right. This whole thing was a mistake." The words hung in the air like poison. Brooke's face went very still. "Do you love me?" "That's not..." "It's a simple question. Do you love me? Yes or no?" Nash couldn't look at her. "It doesn't matter if I love you. Love isn't enough when everything else is falling apart." "That's not an answer." "Yes. Yes, I love you." The words burst out, anguished. "I love you so much it terrifies me, because loving you means I can hurt you. I can destroy your career, damage your reputation, drag you down with me when I fail. So you're going to push me away to protect me? Make that decision for both of us? I'm trying to do the right thing. The right thing is fighting for us." Brooke's voice rose, matching his intensity. "The right thing is saying yes to Victoria's interview and telling Portland that yes, we made mistakes, but we fell in love anyway, and that matters. And if it doesn't work, if we do the interview and people still hate us, if the restaurant fails and your firm loses more clients, then we fail together. We pick up the pieces and start over. Together." She closed the distance between them, grabbing his hands. "Nash, I spent 8 years avoiding exactly this. Avoiding caring about someone so much that losing them would destroy me. And then you happened, and I fell anyway, and it's terrifying and messy and completely out of my control. Brooke, I'm not finished." Her eyes were blazing now. "You taught me that love is worth the risk, that living fully, even if it means getting hurt, is better than being safe and alone. So don't you dare turn around now and tell me you were wrong. Don't you dare prove my fears right." Nash felt something crack in his chest. "I'm scared. I'm so scared of losing you." "Then stop pushing me away." She cupped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. "I love you. I love you messy and imperfect and terrified. I love you when restaurants fail and scandals hit and everything falls apart. That's what love is, staying when things get hard. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." She smiled through tears. "So what do you say? Do we do this interview? Do we fight for what we built?" Nash pulled her close, burying his face in her neck. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for shutting you out. I know. I forgive you." She held him tight. "But Nash, you have to promise me something. Next time things get scary, and they will, you don't run, you stay, you fight, you trust that we're stronger together than apart. I promise." He pulled back enough to kiss her, desperate, searching, holding on to her like she was his anchor in a storm. "I love you. I love you so much. I love you too." She kissed him back, and he could taste salt from her tears. "So we're doing this? The interview? We're doing this. Whatever happens, we do it together." They stood there in his apartment, holding each other while rain pattered against the windows, and slowly, the weight that had been crushing Nash's chest began to lift. This wasn't over. The scandal was still active, the restaurant opening still uncertain, their reputations still damaged, but they had each other, and maybe that was enough to build on. Friday, Portland Home and Design Office. Brooke and Nash sat across from Victoria Lang, hands clasped together, ready to tell their story. "I'm going to ask difficult questions," Victoria warned. "The public wants honesty, raw honesty. Are you prepared for that?" "Yes," Brooke said firmly. Victoria hit record. "Let's start at the beginning. You created a contract for a fake engagement. Why?" Nash took a breath. "I made an impulsive decision. Brooke and I were arguing as usual when a magazine editor showed up unexpectedly. I panicked and said we were engaged. It was stupid and thoughtless, but in that moment I saw an opportunity. Publicity for both of us. And you, Ms. Anderson? Why did you agree?" "Because I'm a control freak who documents everything." Brooke smiled ruefully. "I saw a business opportunity, and I approached it the way I approach everything, with rules, boundaries, and a written contract. It felt safe, professional, manageable. When did it stop being fake?" They looked at each other, and Brooke felt her heart swell. "For me," Nash said, "probably the first day, but I didn't admit it until she told me about her parents, until she let me see past the armor she wears. That's when I knew this was real. And for you, Ms. Anderson? When he showed me his uncle's overlook, when he trusted me with something that mattered." Brooke squeezed Nash's hand. "I spent 8 years protecting myself from feeling too much, and then Nash happened, and all my careful walls came down." "So you're saying this started as calculated deception but became genuine love?" "Yes," they said together. Victoria leaned forward. "Why should Portland believe you? You lied before. Why trust you now?" "Because we're not asking for trust," Brooke said. "We're asking for understanding. Yes, we made a mistake. Yes, we handled things wrong. But real feelings don't follow scripts. Sometimes love happens in messy, imperfect ways." "And the restaurant? The design feature, was that all just for publicity?" "The restaurant is my uncle's legacy," Nash said quietly. "Every dish, every choice, honors him. The publicity helped, yes. But the heart of the copper and sage, that's real. That's James. And my design," Brooke added, "reflects who Nash is. Not who he's pretending to be for cameras, but who he actually is. Bold, creative, unafraid to take risks. The space tells his truth." Victoria studied them for a long moment. Then she smiled, genuine, warm. "That's what I needed to hear, authenticity, vulnerability, truth." She stopped the recording. "This will run tomorrow. I can't promise it will fix everything, but it's a start." "Thank you," Brooke said, "for giving us this chance." After they left the office, Nash pulled Brooke into a quiet alcove. "Whatever happens with the restaurant, with our careers, with public opinion, I need you to know something." He cupped her face. "You're it for me. The real deal. The person I want to build a life with." "Nash, I'm not proposing, not yet, but I'm saying that when this calms down, when the dust settles, I'm going to ask you properly, with a ring and a plan and everything you love." He kissed her softly. "Because you're worth doing it right." Brooke's eyes filled with tears. "You're worth doing it right too, which is why I'm saying yes, right now, to whatever question you ask me eventually." "That's very inefficient, Anderson. Now I have to come up with an even better proposal." "I have faith in your spontaneity." She kissed him back. "Now come on. We have a restaurant opening to save." Saturday morning, the day before opening, Brooke woke to sunlight streaming through Nash's windows and the smell of coffee. Downstairs, she found the restaurant filled with people. Maya, Marco's family, neighbors, former staff, all helping prepare for opening night. "Community support," Maya explained, showing her phone. "Your interview went viral. Over 1 million views. People want to help." The article was everywhere. "Love, lies, and second chances. The real story of Portland's most controversial couple." Comments flooded in, mostly positive, supportive, believing in their redemption. 73 new reservations since yesterday, Marco reported. Fully booked for 2 months. Nash found her in the chaos, pulled her close. "Tonight, after prep, I'm taking you somewhere. Nash, the opening. Trust me, this matters more." That evening, the Overlook. Nash drove them to his uncle's overlook at sunset, blanket and candles already prepared. "Very suspicious planning from Mr. Spontaneous," Brooke teased. He pulled out a folded paper, their original fake engagement contract. "Read the termination clause. Either party may terminate this agreement with 48 hours' notice." She read, voice shaking. "Time to terminate it properly." Nash produced a lighter. Together they burned the contract. watching their carefully written rules turn to ash. "Contract terminated," Nash said. Then he pulled out a ring box. "Now I ask for real. No contracts, no rules, no safety nets." He opened it, revealing a perfect emerald-cut diamond. "Brooke Anderson, you're the most brilliant, infuriating, beautiful person I've ever met. You make me want to be better." His voice roughened. "Will you marry me? For real this time?" "Yes," she whispered through tears. "Yes, absolutely yes." Nash slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her as the city lights sparkled below. "I love you," he murmured. "My brilliant, control-freak, perfectly imperfect fiancé. I love you too. My spontaneous, chaotic, absolutely perfect fiancé." They planned their future under the stars. A spring wedding at Pittock Mansion, expanding the restaurant, building a cooking school, growing Brooke's firm. Plans and dreams and possibilities, all tangled together. Grand opening night, the Copper and Sage. The restaurant was packed. Every table full, energy electric. Nash worked the room while Marco commanded the kitchen. Brooke's design glowed under warm lighting, the navy wall now a badge of honor. "It's perfect," Maya said, handing her champagne. "You did it." Near evening's end, Nash and Brooke stood before their guests for a toast. "Thank you for being here," Nash began. "This restaurant is my uncle's legacy and Brooke's vision, made beautiful together. We made mistakes," Brooke added. "We lied, we hurt people, but we also fell in love. Real, messy, imperfect love. And Portland gave us a second chance," Nash continued. "You showed up, supported us, believed in us. 2 second chances," they said together. The crowd erupted in applause. Later in the kitchen office, Nash pulled Brooke close. "I'm so proud of us, of everything we built. Even the messy parts, especially those, they made us real." He kissed her. "I can't wait to marry you. I've already started a wedding spreadsheet." "Of course you have," he laughed. "I love you. I love you too." Epilogue, 6 months later. Spring wedding. Pittock Mansion overlook. Brooke stood before the mirror in her simple, elegant wedding dress while Maya fussed with her veil. "Can't believe my control-freak best friend is marrying a chaotic chef," Maya said through tears. Marco appeared at the door. "Nash is nervous, convinced you'll escape out a window. Tell him I'm not going anywhere." The ceremony was outdoors with 60 guests and the entire city spread below. As Brooke walked down the aisle, Nash waited with tears in his eyes. "Hi," he whispered when she reached him. "Hi yourself," the officiant smiled. "We're here to celebrate something special." Brooke and Nash's love started with a lie and a contract, but what emerged is genuine, hard-won, absolutely real love. Nash's vows made her cry. "You see potential in broken things. You took a chance on me when I didn't deserve it. I promised to paint the right wall, unless I really believe the wrong one is better, in which case I promised to discuss it first." Laughter rippled through guests. "I promised to spend every day proving that taking a risk on us was the smartest decision you ever made." Brooke's voice shook with emotion. "I spent 8 years building walls. You demolished everyone. At first I hated you for it. Now I'm grateful. You taught me walls don't keep you safe. They just keep you alone. I promise to choose love over fear, every single time for the rest of our lives." They exchanged rings with trembling hands. "I now pronounce you married," David announced. "Kiss your wife already." Nash pulled Brooke close, and the kiss was soft and full of promise. As they walked back down the aisle together, Brooke felt pure happiness settle in her chest. The reception. During their first dance, Nash whispered, "I have a surprise." He'd invited Brooke's old design professor, the one who'd encouraged her to start her own firm. "You tracked her down for me?" Tears filled Brooke's eyes. "She's part of your story. I wanted her here." Later, Brooke surprised Nash with a wrapped gift, a leather-bound portfolio of architectural plans for a cooking school adjacent to the restaurant. "Your dream, fully planned," she explained. "We build it together, your spontaneity and my structure." Nash kissed her deeply. "I want everything with you." "Good. You're stuck with me now. Legally. Best contract I ever signed." As evening ended, they danced one more time, just the two of them. "We did it," Brooke murmured. "Built a restaurant, fell in love, survived a scandal, got married. Yeah, we did pretty well. What's next? Whatever we want. Together. Always together." He kissed her hair. "That's the only plan I need." And as they swayed under the stars where they'd first fallen in love for real, Brooke Anderson Rivers understood. Control wasn't about having all the answers. It was about trusting you'd face every question together. With the right person, even chaos could become home. 2 years later, the cooking school opened to rave reviews. Brooks' firm expanded to 3 cities. They adopted a rescue dog named Basil. They still argued. Nash still made impulsive decisions. Brooks still created spreadsheets for everything. But they also laughed every day, built a life that was uniquely, perfectly theirs. And on quiet evenings, they'd return to the Overlook. "Remember when you painted the wrong wall?" Brooke would say. "Remember when you created a contract for a fake engagement?" Nash would counter. And they'd laugh because that chaos had led to this, to partnership, to love, to home. Sometimes the wrong wall turns out to be exactly right. Sometimes the risk you're most afraid to take leads to everything you never knew you needed. And sometimes, the contract you write to protect your heart becomes the beginning of a love story worth telling. The end.